And good morning to everyone. Those of you on the East Coast, good early afternoon. From Bolero Mount Prospect, run by the wonderful Gina Dodero as our general manager on site. Our tournament manager, Neil Stremmel, has things underway for this squad of the 2025 PBA LBC National Championships. I'm $2 Phil Bridlow, taking you through the action all the way through this 7-week run of the PBA LBC National Championships. We're concluding week 2 today. If you're looking to get in, we'll talk a little bit about it during game 1, but you're basically looking at having to get in July, as a lot of our squads remaining in the month of June, if they haven't sold out, they're really darn close. They might only have 1 or 2 entries available, but we'll talk to you about how you can enter as well. These bowlers all taking on 6 games of PBA LBC competition across 6 pairs of lanes. We'll go through the leaderboards through the first 5 squads of this event. This is squad number 6. Most weekends have 2 squads on a Saturday, 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. local time. And then this is your 11 a.m. Sunday squad. That's the normal Sunday calendar. We do have a couple of weekends, as I said, later in June, where we'll have 3 squads on a Saturday with 9 a.m., 2 p.m., 7 p.m. because the early squads sold out on Saturday, and even those 7 p.m. squads are now pretty full those last 2 Saturdays of the month of June. We don't have any PBA elite players in the booth today. However, we'll have a chance to talk to a couple people between games from Storm Bowling, as they have a pretty unique event involving some of their fans. Let's be honest, they're not staff players, they're just fans of Storm Bowling and the various brands of Storm like Roto Grip and Niner Global. Fun event they brought players in for. We'll talk about that a little bit when we get to them in game 1. Blair Blumenscheid, Gary Hulsenberg from Storm, along with Yannick Roos. I know we'll get a chance to talk to Blair. Maybe a chance to talk to Gina, too. I'm not sure if Yannick, with the lane movement, if he's going to be close enough to our booth to be able to jump in between shots. But we'll definitely be able to talk to Blair and Gary a little later this morning. As there's about 6 minutes of practice left for these players. Every squad gets 10 minutes of practice on their pair, similar to a PBA Tour event, and that's what this PBA LBC Championships is all about. Let these players experience what they would have at a PBA Tour national stop. Now, obviously, we're not putting PBA Tour conditions out here for these players, but it's definitely not a league pattern with the PBA LBC National Championships pattern. It's about a 5-to-1 ratio. So a little tougher than what a lot of people see in their leagues. But you don't have to execute shots like an E.J. Tackett or an Anthony Simonson in order to score here at Bolero Mount Prospect. There you see Blair Blumenscheid. Oh, we can't give her the old hands up on the 5-pin yet. It's only practice. And there you see some of the players from 900 Global, Storm, and Roto Grip coming up on these pairs for their little fun event. And there's other players that tagged the line that weren't I don't want to say selected. They just kind of did a random drawing. Hey, you want to join us at the LBC? Here's our squad, and we'll pick 3 players to represent 3 of our brands that'll be bowling with people from Storm. Have a good time, but Storm far from excluding anybody at this event. I saw their big wigs like Yannick, Gary, and Blair all talking to a lot of players wearing the various SBI jerseys bowling here at Bolero Mount Prospect. Pretty full squad today. And I would expect next Saturday to be full as well. No competition on Father's Day. So we will just have 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. local time. So 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Eastern will be your start time for weekend number 3 of the 7 weekends of this event. And then we'll get into the real meat and potatoes of the schedule. Those last 2 weekends in June. And there's still room to sign up. PBA.com/LBC tournament has all your information about these national championships and also gives you the opportunity to register. And take your chance to take down some of the guaranteed prize money. PBA LBC National Championships have awarded over $675,000 in total prize money over the first 2 years of this event. $25,000 guaranteed in the Open Classic division. $5,000 guaranteed in each of the Women's Classic, Senior Classic, Men's Handicap, and Women's Handicap divisions. And then $2,500 in guaranteed Smart Scholarship money for the champions in the Boys Junior Handicap and Girls Junior Handicap divisions. Thanks to everybody joining us in the chat. If you have questions about the LBC National Championships, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Hey, Adam, good morning. Yeah, EJ is looking on fire again from what I've heard. I didn't get a chance to watch it last night, unfortunately. Busy day here at the LBC Nationals. Have it on DVR, but I don't mind getting spoilers about what's going on. I won't spoil it for anybody this morning either, other than mentioning EJ Tackett. Is in pretty good contention to take down another title. I mean, he's pretty much got player of the year locked up already. That'll just solidify his standing. And, of course, a great bowling center that's hosting that as well with Steel City Bowl and Brews in Pennsylvania. The Sant family, Lee and Krista Sant. Saw some of the photographs from that event. They were having an amazing time for their fans. Between the pro-ams, the meet and greets, all the other fun stuff. Practice wrapping up. We'll be underway momentarily. From Bolero Mount Prospect, we'll give you a rundown of everybody in the field during game one.
All right, PBA LBC tournament bowlers, your 10 minutes of practice is complete. Before we get started, a reminder that when everyone on your pair is finished with each game, please make sure to hit the space bar to move your scores to the next pair. Okay, everyone, let's give these competitors a nice round of applause. Good luck and good scoring.
And let's give you your field rundown here in game number 1. On 3 and 4, Ramon Pagan, Emmett Steffen, James Kovathana, and Peter Kovathana, your players on 3 and 4. Ramon Pagan is in the men's handicap division at a 203 average. Emmett Steffen in the men's handicap coming in at 168. And for the Kovathanas, James bowling in the senior classic division. Peter bowling in the men's handicap coming in at a 211 average. On 5 and 6, Thomas Kovathana, Mike Kovathana, David Luna, Alex Luna. For the Kovathanas, Thomas in the men's handicap division coming in at a 183 average. Mike coming in at a 200 average in the men's handicap division. David Luna in the men's handicap at 195. Alex Luna at 184 in the men's handicap division. And as I mentioned earlier, 7 divisions of competition for almost everyone to be able to bowl in. The only one that most people can't bowl in is the PBA exempt, and I know most people would want to bowl in that division, taking on some of the best the PBA has to offer. So that's one of the great things about the LBC National Championships. You know, last weekend, 3 lucky bowlers got to bowl in the same pair with Graham Fa when Graham took to the lanes on Sunday. But they didn't have to bowl against Graham Fa, as Graham was in his own PBA exempt division. Let's take you over to lanes 7 and 8. Roberto Rodriguez, Philip Osman, and Dylan Balloon on 7 and 8. Roberto Rodriguez in the men's handicap division at a 191 average. Philip Osman in the men's handicap, 204, the entering average for Osman. And for Dylan, he's bowling the Open Classic division. On 9 and 10, Nicholas Sikorsky, Leila Garcia, Lottie Wozniak, and Peter Garcia. Nicholas bowling in the boys junior handicap division, comes in at a 149 average. Leila Garcia, girls junior division, 108 for Leila's entering average. Lottie entering in the women's handicap division at 177. And for Peter Garcia, Peter bowling at a 184 average in the boys junior handicap division. Good start for Leila Garcia. Coming in at 108 average, and she's already got 3 strikes in a row on the board. She's going to average beat in game 1 by the 6th frame at this rate. Good start for Layla. We'll get back to her shortly. Let's get back to other players to introduce here. On 11 through 14, on 11 and 12, Ramiro Garcia, along with Ramiro Garcia. The difference being Ramiro Garcia on your left lane has a T for the middle initial. Ramiro Garcia on the right lane has a J for the middle initial. Ramiro T and Ramiro J both bowling in the Open Classic division. Fabiola Loera Garcia and Adam Laws round out 11 and 12. Adam bowling in the Open Classic division. Fabiola bowling in the Women's Handicap division, coming in at a 177. On 13 and 14, Jake Rogers, Zachary Kunkel, and Dan Rayom, your players with a vacancy on 13 and 14. Jake Rogers in the Men's Handicap division, he's coming in at a 203 average for his entering average. Zachary Kunkel in the Open Classic division. Dan Rayom in that same division as well. Hope everyone's enjoying our coverage. Let people know they can watch every player, every frame, every game, every pair on every squad at the PBA LBC National Championships for free on the PBA YouTube channel. I know there's some people that are tuning in looking for bowlers that have similar styles to their own. Try to see how they're playing this 42-foot PBA LBC National Championships pattern. 31.25 milliliters of oil in the pattern, and if you want some help with how to maybe play that pattern, Norm Duke was here last week and he filmed some great pieces with our tournament manager and director of rules and specifications for the PBA, Neil Stremmel, in a series of Neil Stremmel's bowling breakdown pieces. Great information about the PBA LBC National Championships. Check those clips out on the PBA YouTube channel once you're done watching us here in the main feed on this squad. And once again, you can view every pair. If you open up the description of the video that you're watching, underneath it, you may have to go back out of full screen if you're watching on full screen. If you open up that description, you'll see all the pair feeds for this squad. Right-click on one of those feeds, open it in a new tab. Keep us on here because we follow hot hands. Let you know if somebody's going for a perfect game, trying for their own mini Duke. As the day goes along, and then you can still follow your favorite players. They go from pair to pair here inside of Bolero Mount Prospect. On lanes 15 and 16, Jessica Bennett, James Bennett, Nate Kaffenberger, and Alan Kaffenberger are your players. Alan Kaffenberger at a 181 entry average for the men's handicap division. Nate Kaffenberger bowling in the men's handicap division as well at a 162 average. Jessica Bennett bowling in the women's handicap division, coming in with a 156. And James Bennett bowling in the senior classic division. So James bowling in a scratch division in the senior classic. Over on 17-18, David Venus, Jeff Coleman, Brett Fogerson, Steve Romero are your players. David bowling in the Open Classic division, along with Jeff Coleman in that division. Steve Romero also bowling Open and Classic. And Brett Fogerson, let's round it out. 4 players in the Open Classic division. They're on 17-18. And once again, if you're looking to stay with these players, open up the pair feed for lanes 15 through 18 here on the PBA YouTube channel, and you'll be able to follow them. This game, another reason to keep the main feed open is because we'll give you the information on how many pairs players are moving from game to game. They will cross the entire house just like a PBA Tour event. So they will make their way across the 32 lanes in use here at Bolero Mount Prospect for these PBA LBC National Championships. We're not using 1 and 2 or 35 and 36 for the run of the event. And let's get over to 19 through 22. Here's where we start to hit some of our pairs with those Storm Bowling Roto Grip and 900 Global groups on them. Looks like a 900 Global group on 19 and 20 with Gary Hulsenberg, Nathan Johnson, Sam Lawson, and Devin Radford. Gary bowling in the Senior Classic Division. I think Gary is old enough for that. Come on, Gary. No, I know he is. Just got to give him a little bit of a hard time. One of the hardest working men in the sport of bowling. What he and Blair Blumenscheid and Gary's wife Leanne have done with these Storm Youth Championships, just amazing opportunities for those youth players. And we're actually going to get back down to lanes 7 and 8 because, as we mentioned, we get a player that's on a front bunch. We go back to him. We have our chance for the second Mini Duke to be awarded here in the 2025 PBA LBC National Championships. As we have Roberto Rodriguez, he'll be stepping up shortly. As we're at Bolero Mount Prospect, the 11 a.m. Central squad for the PBA LBC National Championships. And in game one, Roberto Rodriguez starting off with some fireworks here. Rodriguez coming in with a 191 average bowling in the men's handicap division. And he has a chance to put up perfection here in this opening game. Give himself a good jump start. But you have to survive 6 games in a PBA LBC National Championships qualifying block. A hot start does not guarantee a quality finish, as we've seen in the past. I'm $2 Phil Bridle. I'm here with you every weekend at the PBA LBC National Championships. And will we see number 11 for Rodriguez? Yes, we will. He is making this 42-foot PBA LBC National Championships pattern look easy to start with this morning, but it's far from easy. It's about a 5-to-1 ratio. You don't have to make E.J. Tackett or Anthony Simonson quality shots in order to score. You don't even have to be a legend like Jason Belmonte on this pattern. But if you make solid shots, you make your proper adjustments as you go along, you could find yourself in the same position as Roberto Rodriguez is finding himself here on the front 11. Jordan Weaver had a 300 last Sunday during the open weekend of the LBC National Championships. That needs a lot of help, and he gets it. He trips out the 5-pin from behind, and you can see the nerves are really taking hold for Rodriguez. I would definitely, if I was a friend of his, I'd go up there by the ball return, just tap him on the shoulder and just get him to, loosen up for a second. Hey man, take your time, good shot. Stage is yours. That's all you need to know. So Rodriguez, taking an extra second. Nobody's bowling around him. All of his friends all the way down to lane 3 have stopped bowling. Everybody up down to lane 12 has stopped bowling. He has the stage to himself. Will we see our second 300 of this PBA LBC National Championships? And needs help again. They don't have to be pretty. They just have to fall, and it's a prime example of that right there, as we have Roberto Rodriguez with our second 300 of a PBA National Championships.
good.
All right, and here is the man that just shot 300, Roberto Rodriguez. How many is that for you in your career?
That is my first one.
That's your first. That's the second time. Last weekend, Jordan Weaver had his very first 300 game here at the PBA LBC National Championships. How did you try to handle the nerves between that 11th and 12th shot? Because after that 11th one, you kind of looked a little tense up there.
Oh, yeah. I tried to take a lot of deep breaths, trying to, get the jelly out of the legs, trying to firm up and follow through. Pulled it a little bit, but I got a few lucky breaks, and I got real lucky in the end.
You get one of the coolest things anybody in the world can get for a 300 game. You can only get it here at the PBA LBC National Championships. See that Duke trophy over lanes 19 and 20? You get the mini Duke. You get a smaller version of that trophy for your 300 game. Did you know that?
That's awesome. I did not know that.
Okay, so you can find a place in your house, because in the next couple of months you'll get that mini Duke, and there's only about 30 people in the world that have that award, and now you're one of them. Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Thank you. So how about that for some early morning fireworks here at the PBA LBC National Championships, as Roberto Rodriguez puts perfection on the board. As we said, though, he needs to get through 5 more games of qualifying. He's in the men's handicap division. He's off to a good start, but you don't want to give all those pins you just gained back in a game or two. You want to make sure you keep pushing, staying in that lead. So if you want to keep an eye on Roberto, see how he does in game 2. He's going to be skipping a pair, landing on the second. So all of our players skipping a pair, landing on the second. So players you see here in 7 and 8 will move next door to 11 and 12 on that feed. The people you see on 9 and 10 will move to 13 and 14. I know we got about a half a field to get through yet on player introductions after that interruption, and a fun interruption at that for the Roberto Rodriguez perfect game. And glad we got a chance to talk to Roberto afterwards. So player movement, and game 2 coming up next here from the PBA LBC National Championships. Bolero Mount Prospect, your site for all 7 weekends of competition for the 2025 event. right, we're going to start with Roberto Rodriguez, author of the second 300 game. Of this 2025 PBA LBC National Championships. And with bowling in the men's handicap division, he has himself a nice start. Made a couple of phone calls between the end of his perfect game and starting this game. And we will get Roberto underway momentarily. He'll be on 11 and 12 at this game. And then we'll get you reintroduced to the top half of the field. Taking a look here. Men's handicap division right now. And once again, this is waiting on verification of all averages. So unofficially, it's Robert Morris at a plus 302 score, or a 1502 with handicap. So about a 250 average, including the handicap. So obviously, Roberto ahead of that at the moment, but 5 games remaining. Let's see how the nerves manage to calm down for him. He's had some time to settle back down, to be honest. Only having 3 on his pair. He got done a little quick. Oh, is he going to get lucky again? Oh, geez, he almost backdoor a strike. Well, having just the head pin, one would think he'd be a little more successful in this. I don't know if anybody – this could be a bowling record, and I do not hope for any bad luck on Roberto Rodriguez, but coming in with a 300, then leaving a head pin your very next shot. We don't want to add to that history by having that head pin becoming an open frame. All over that head pin. So we'll get back to Roberto in a little bit. Let's get to some players we haven't had a chance to introduce yet. These players started on 23 and 24 with Yannick Ruse, Cameron Tate, Raul Cabrera, and Dakota Evans. There you see they're all bowling and they're matching. Or close to matching Storm jerseys. There you see Mason Hirsch. He's bowling in the boys handicap division. Mason bowling with Nicholas Duplan, Tony Duplan, and Dan Schneider. They started on 25 and 26. Now you see them on 29 and 30. Thanks to everybody who's joining us in the chat again today. Hopefully we get to bring you a little more excitement. 2 weekends, 2 perfect games, both on Sundays on this 11 a.m. squad, both in opening games. For Jordan Weaver last Sunday, and now Roberto Rodriguez a few minutes ago. Let's get over to the players that started on 23 through 26, now on 27 through 30. So Rodriguez early open. So we got these players introduced already with Ruse, Cabrera, Tate, Evans on 27, 28, 29, 30 is Hirsch, Duplan, and Schneider. Let's go over to players that started on 25 through 28, now on 29 through 30. Pardon me, now on 31 through 34. Logan Madsen, Connor Smith, Adam Lawrence, Jennifer Maurerman, your bowlers on 31 and 32. Jermaine Tyler, Michael Mielzarek, Trevor Reif, Kelly Holmes, your bowlers on 33 and 34. And we've got one more group of bowlers we will introduce you to that we've yet to get to yet. Coming up momentarily. So once again, all your statistics, all your standings available to you at PBA.com. If you scroll down the page, when you're on the landing page a little bit, you'll see all the information for the PBA LBC National Championships. So when you're on that page, all you gotta do is scroll down a couple pushes on that down arrow button, and there you can see where the big logo is. There's your Learn More. That'll take you to all the information that you need. Otherwise, you can shortcut it yourself, pba.com/LBC tournament, and you can get all your tournament information there. You can still register to bowl. You can see your current standings. And, of course, that's the one thing everybody is chasing after, the Duke. It's nice to get a mini Duke, just like Roberto Rodriguez is going to receive for his perfect game, but everybody wants that big check that goes with the Duke at the conclusion of the PBA LBC National Championships Clash, the 2025 edition of that. Date, time, and place still TBD. We'll get that announced in the near future. And one more group we've yet to get you introduced to. These are the bowlers that started on 31 to 34, now down on 3 through 6. Here you see Ryan Ziggar on lane 5, leaving a 9-pin. Ziggar in the Open Classic division. Bowling with his brother Kyle, a.k.a. Great White. Kyle also in the Open Classic division. Looks like Kyle started with 274, so we will keep an eye on the big lefty from Kenosha, Wisconsin. Justin Smith, Frankie DiBartolo round out that pairing on 5 and 6. On 3 and 4, Sean Hall, Andy Schutt, Lauren Schaefer. Schutt bowling in the Open Scratch. Sean Hall, also an Open Classic. And Lauren Schaefer bowling in the girls junior handicap. Lauren coming in with a 125 average. Looks like Lauren had a very good start. She's got a 243 game up there with her handicap. You see Lauren posting the follow through. And gets the spare. Lauren loves the sport of bowling. She does a lot of her personal video work for school, focusing on the sport of bowling as well. And Lauren, not one to let anything get in her way, whether it's on the lanes or in the school classroom. So let's pick up with Roberto Rodriguez, see where he's at. And yeah, that perfect game. Is now a distant memory, as he might have trouble getting half of that this game if he gets another open on the board. That needs some help, and yeah, you can tell he's the tension's there. Come on, teammates, loosen him up a little bit. Keep his brain on something else between shots. Don't let him try to over-focus, hyper-focus, whatever it may be. And he gets a spare, so considering Roberto's coming in to this competition at a 191 average, so he's getting 26 pins a game. You know, even getting back to within 20 pins of the average, even if he shoots 170 this game, makes the save. He's still going to be pacing quite well towards the lead. Obviously, odds are astronomical that the gentleman would shoot another perfect game in the same qualifying block at that average range, but you also don't want to have to lean on that by the time you get to game 5 or 6. Try to get yourself into the divisional lead for the men's handicap division. Yeah, we're gonna get away from him for a little while, let him settle down, let him refocus. Let's get up by Gary Hulsenberg. Hulsenberg on 23 and 24. Solid start for Gary in the senior classic division, and as soon as I say that, we go to another player, and Gary's yet to find a spare in his first 4 frames, if not 5. And make it, he's smiling. He's got a nightmare going right now. He's living the dream, but always remember, everybody, nightmares are dreams as well. Blair Blumenscheid from Storm. Once again, as I mentioned, Gary and Leanne and Blair with that Storm Youth Championship Series. 9 events a year, hundreds of bowlers at every event, all around the country. Those events sell out in minutes. They have a great working relationship with the PBA Junior program as well. So it's nice to see entities teaming up to help give youth players additional opportunities to compete throughout the bowling season, even if they don't have, let's say, high school bowling in their area. Whether it's they don't have enough players for teams or they just don't have it in their state. It's nice having all these extra opportunities with things like PBA Junior, with things like SYC, like the Elite Youth Tour here in the Chicagoland area. Here you see Blair going to the polyester ball and just tickles it down. All right, I'm giving Gary Hulsenberg one more chance. I feel bad for the guy. I mean, he had the opens in a row before we got back down to him. When you go from having a great game in game one, and I guess he's suffering the same fate that Roberto Rodriguez is suffering right now, as Hulsenberg goes wide again and leaves a makeable spare. And there you see, yeah, trouble for Rodriguez. Just over half of what he had in game one with that 156 follow-up. So it goes to show sometimes following people on this 42-foot LBC National Championships pattern, when you move pairs, there we go. You can't go 0 for forever, Gary, as you hear the round of applause go up from all the Storm bowling people that are here on the squad with them today. You know, sometimes bowling can be a fickle mistress, and you move pairs, pair plays a little bit different, or somebody may have used the urethane ball on the pair that you didn't catch, and all of a sudden your ball reaction's a little different. You get to the next pair, you don't throw a couple of quality shots to start with. So we'll see what both of our hot hands can do to bounce back in game three. We're going to have to, will Gary Hulsenberg a strike for the ninth frame here. Let's get him a foundation frame strike. Let the bowling universe come together. Let us all channel our positive energy towards Gary Hulsenberg. It's Blair Blumenscheid having herself a solid game. She's coming in at a 192 average in the women's handicap division. Started with a 227 with her handicap pin, so not too bad off early. And if she can get a big game here, get another couple of strikes, get in the 220s and add that handicap in. There, trip out that 479. Blair could be making an early run towards our women's handicap leader. Let's all let's will Gary a strike. See, Bowling Universe, we all came together. We all channeled positive vibes to Gary Hulsenberg, and he's got all 10 down for the first time this game. He's guaranteed to be in triple digits this game now. So, good thing for Gary to have. So, player movement between games 2 and 3 for these players. We'll be skipping 2 pairs and landing on the second. So the players that you see here in 23 and 24, skipping 2, landing on the third, you're going to see them move down to 29 and 30. Players you see on 25 and 26 will move down to 31 and 32. So we will have player movement. And we'll try to find some other hot hands in the building here at Bolero Mount Prospect. in Game 3 as we are on our final qualifying squad of weekend number 2 of the 7 weekends of the PBA LBC National Championships. Hey, we've got some room on the July squads. Get some friends together, just like everybody at Storm and Rotogrip and 900 Global has done. They've got a bunch of friends together, friends from all across the country that have met through all kinds of events Storm Bowling has held over years. They put groups together for the USBC National Championships for the Greater Ozark tournament down in Missouri, and this year they put together a bunch of people to come in for this particular squad of the LBC National Championships. You don't have to be a bowling ball company to do it. Just get a bunch of friends together and get yourself signed up on the same squad, pba.com/LBC tournament.
If there any time for you to get like 250 right now.
Yeah, I need a big game here.
You need a couple statement games.
Just gotta see. Do I use? That ship has probably sailed by now, unless I strike out. But it's okay. I don't think so.
No, I don't like it.
I don't think so.
Whatever's working. All right.
The thing with this is, it feels honestly the most comfortable. What? I think that's. It feels like
The release point and everything.
No, it's like. Not this time.
Well, Kyle Ziggar slowing down a little bit, but still averaging 250 after 2. That's kind of the pace he's going to need to keep up all the way through his qualifying round to try to get a chance at the Open Classic Division title and the $25,000 that is on top, guaranteed for that division. His brother Ryan not having a bad start, 430 for 2, but Ryan's going to have to put a lot more strikes together like you saw there. Take care of business and try to get ahead of his, well, no longer little brother. I remember Ryan when he was 14, bowled on one of our cable television tournaments in Wisconsin. Almost won his very first event, and his brother Kyle a few years later. I believe they're 4 years apart in age difference, and the powerful lefty makes it look so smooth. Kyle and Ryan both have taken on numerous Wisconsin state titles, including one with Lenny Borsch Jr. for a couple of consecutive years in the team event. They actually set a Wisconsin State 5-man team record a few years back. Throwing a team set, 5-player team set of more than 3,900. I believe the exact number was 3,937. One of the highest series all time, with Matt Ziggar, the father, then Ryan and Kyle brothers, and then Lenny Borsch and Lenny's son Jake putting that big set together. So Ryan Ziggar with 3 in a row. Let's see if the Kyle variety of Zagars can match that 3 in a row. Justin Smith had a knee injury a few years ago. Wasn't quite sure if he'd be able to continue bowling, but found a second opinion. And it actually didn't take a lot of work on his knee to get him back out on the lanes. Justin, powerful two-hander. Sitting at 443 after 2. But he was brought back to earth by a 189 game the last game. Frankie DiBartolo rounding out that foursome on 11 and 12. This is where we just saw a 300 rolled by Roberto Rodriguez on this same pair. Maybe Ryan's found Roberto's secret groove. Let's see. Let me get caught up in the chat here. I apologize. We're a one-man production crew. Sometimes it takes me a few minutes to get back to the chat. Has anyone performed an analysis to see if this event is pulling people away from the USBC Open Championships? John, no, they haven't that I know of, but I know we have people that come in from across the country. To bowl this event. We haven't really done it where if somebody would bowl this event versus that USBC Open event. But then again, you show up here as a single, and you can enter the optional doubles and 4-player team events. Vicious Rep 7 for Ziggar. The doubles event, you can pair up with anybody, whether it's a PBA elite player or whether it's somebody in one of the handicap divisions. As long as it's not a youth player. The youth players are not eligible for these side events with doubles or 4-player team. But your doubles event counts with your first 3 games of qualifying, games 1, 2, and 3, and then the 4-player team event where you put those 4 players together. That counts with games 4, 5, and 6. And you don't all have to be on the same squad. A lot of times with the USBC Open Championships, obviously you all have to be in a particular city at a particular time and place, and sometimes that scheduling might not work for some people. Our opening year in 2023, the players that took down the 4-player team event bowled on 3 different weekends on 4 different squads. So it goes to show that this tournament allows a little extra flexibility. Whether or not that's actually taking anything away from the USBC Open Championships, I don't believe so. But there's teams obviously here with players like Justin Smith and the Ziggars. They're bowling both events, but then again, it's only less than an hour drive from Kenosha, Wisconsin, where those players are located, down here to Bolero Mount Prospect. The one good thing about being in Chicago is Ziggar, front 5 of the Ryan variety, centrally located. So if you're on one of the coasts, you're not spending 2 days of your driving getting to Chicago. And with having both O'Hare and Midway airports, if you're choosing to fly, lots of non-stops from wherever you may be into O'Hare or Midway. And then obviously if you have a 3-ball bowling bag, tote bag with 15-pound equipment, you're going to get under that weight limit of 50 pounds. Bowling shoes should always go in the backpack. Bowling balls can be replaced last minute if need be. I mean, they do have a Creating the Difference Pro Shop here inside of Bolero Mount Prospect for this tournament run. So if something does happen with your bowling balls, at least you still have all the rest of your equipment with shoes and grip tapes and that type of thing. You can take in your backpack, carry it on the plane with you. Other items like bevel knives and such, obviously, can't go on the plane, but can go in your check bag, your other check bag. And then if something were to happen to that, obviously CTD Pro Shop, they can help you out with anything. If you need to quick shape a thumb, they can do that for you. Need some surface adjustments on your equipment, they can do that as well. So it's nice having that Pro Shop open during every LBC National Championships tournament squad. So if you get more questions about the LBC Championships, thanks to that question from John, you can drop them in the chat. Robin, glad to have you again from South Africa. Glad you're tuning in. Watch the players. And how about that for Ryan Ziggar? Gets the 10 to go. Off my memory, and it's far from perfect, I don't think we've had 2 300s on the same pair during the same squad of the LBC Championships. I know in 2023 we had 2 players on the same pair get to the front 8. Neither player did get to 300 that game, but it was fun watching that when it occurred. Mike Hammond, bowling always needs up-and-coming stars. Boy, we saw one of them yesterday here at Bolero Mount Prospect. She was our defending LBC National Championships Clash winner, Gianna Brandolino. Didn't have a great day. She won't be repeating a trip to the Clash, but We had a nice interview with her once she was done bowling. Talked to her about how her life has changed since that big win. And I'm sure you'll see that on the PBA LBC Facebook page. If you haven't already liked the PBA League Bowler Certification Championship page on Facebook, what are you waiting for? Give it a like and follow all the latest and greatest information about not just this event, but everything that the PBA LBC National Championships is planning for the future, and what benefits you have as a PBA League Bowler certified player through your league seasons. Smith digs that 10 out. Oh, to be young with rev rate and ball speed. Something I never had, even when I was young. So let's see if Ryan Ziggar can get strike number 7 in a row here on 11 and 12. Makes the pitch, stares it down, and is he going to get the 10 to go? Not this time, and a gentle massage of the ball return with the foot. Hey, Frankie, get it. Oh, I thought DeBartolo had a chance there. Boy, Ryan Ziggar gets out of here with 279. He gets himself to plus 100 for 3. He's going to need a little more help to get to that magic 1,500 number we're always looking at in the Open Classic division for somebody to be in contention for the lead. However, if Kyle Ziggar can finish at that same 279 score, my goodness. There you go, kick the 7 out. And if he was sitting at 778 for his first 3, my goodness. Not exactly Graham Fa territory from last year. When Graham put up the all-time 6-game record here at the LBC National Championships with a 1631 total. I appreciate everybody watching this live stream today. I know last week everybody was pumped up because we had Norm Duke in the booth all 3 squads of the opening weekend, and unfortunately with the scheduling, especially because of the PBA Tour Finals going on, a little tough to get pros in this weekend. Still some, like I said, we had quality players yesterday with Gianna Brandolino. We had our defending boys handicap champion, Garrett Beyer. We had our inaugural men's handicap champion, Hunter Lawless, all bowl yesterday. And now we got a couple of good amateur players here with the Ziggars. And wow, 22-mile-an-hour ball speed and great rev rate means that Kyle Ziggar can destroy some pins. Ryan, former PBA regional player, still does a lot of work with Motive Bowling whenever they have demo days. That's one of the great ways for any PBA LBC bowler to try new equipment. Doesn't matter what the company, whether it's Storm, Rotogrip, 900 Global, like all the players you see here today. A lot of those players have gone to demo days that have been put together by that company. Motive puts together demo days. So if you want to try their equipment, Brands of Brunswick do it as well. One of the greatest ways to try what's coming out on the market for a very inexpensive price And we got a chance for brotherly 279s coming up on 11 and 12.
Maybe like a bit heavier than West, or maybe West is. Yeah, next.
We had a couple of players make runs in the handicap divisions yesterday. Nobody got there.
Yeah, I think we're on the right track. I think we're on the right track.
And let's see if Kyle can keep it going. Wow, did you see a head pin come back across? That was EJ-esque, Belmo-esque, Jesper-esque. Kyle Ziggar is one of those players with the two-handed rev rate, just being a one-handed player. Hey, guys. Apologies for cutting all the sound out there, but we got a microphone we use for ambient audio, and thought I had it pretty well hidden, but somebody decided they were going to camp out in front of it. We just want to make sure we weren't picking up any conversations that didn't need to be heard by others. Hey, Mike, we're sad you only have one like to give as well. We appreciate all the likes that we're getting from everybody today, though, and we appreciate everybody that can share the word. Let them know that even on weeks that we won't have a booth feed, I don't know. We might do booth feeds the entire way through. We're seeing how this is going without elite players in the booth. I'm doing a lot of conversation with myself and sending out to you guys. Appreciate everybody that's asking questions in the chat, and trying to focus on bringing you the hot hands here like we had with the Ziggar brothers. Kyle Ziggar looking to shoot the same 279 that his brother Ryan just put on the board. And tell you what, if Kyle Ziggar can get there, 778 for his first three. That's a heck of a total for doubles. We'll have to see how many doubles matchups Kyle has. And, the great thing about the doubles and four-player team events, as I mentioned, you don't have to be on the same squad. So let's say we mentioned Lenny Borsch. He's not going to be bowling till the end of June. Same thing with his brother, with his son Jake. So, but since Ryan and Kyle were here, bowled first, pay for that entry, the entire entry, $25 per player, that doubles entry counts. So they can use Ryan's score from today or Kyle's score from today, pair it up with a Lenny Borsch or Jake Borsch, and get that doubles total to count. So Kyle Ziggar are going to be in the 270s. Great chance for a new leader in the Open Classic Division. That total right now, Connor Pula on our opening weekend put up a 1457 total, or plus 257 using the PBA plus minus system. And Ziggar is going to be plus 170 after a little experiment on that fill ball. Plus 176. So just 81 pins off the lead pace with 3 games to go. So we're going to follow the Ziggars since they're the hot hands in the building. Let's check in on the man who shot 300 our first game with Roberto Rodriguez over on 17-18. And Roberto just threw 155, so yikes. His second and third games were only 11 pins higher than his first game. But he's still up on pinfall total, so there's still a chance if Roberto can throw a good game, get himself back on pace, try to chase down that men's handicap division lead. So we are halfway through our final qualifying squad of weekend number 2. 5 weekends remaining here at Bolero Mount Prospect. Your player movement between games 3 and 4, pretty easy. Skip a pair, land on the second. So the players you just saw with the Ziggars is moving from 11 and 12 to 15 and 16. And we will follow the Ziggars as they progress, as they're a couple of the hottest hands in the building. Don't forget you can follow any of the other players on this squad, all pair feeds, all 32 lanes available to you on the PBA YouTube channel. We'll answer some more questions in the chat. If you haven't, put them in between games, and we'll answer them during game 4. All right, we are getting into game 4. We'll get that game graphic changed for you momentarily on the lanes. And there's the man with the big hand on campus right now, Kyle Ziggar, 776 for his first 3 in the Open Classic division. As we mentioned, he's been under situations like this before. When you're on a 5-player team that puts up a 3,900 3-game total to win a state championship in Wisconsin, you know you've thrown strikes in pressure situations before. It would not surprise me to watch Kyle Ziggar keep striking here on this pattern. And, of course, as I say that, here comes the 3-6 and a little bit of a light hit. I'm enjoying this part of my weekend now because every 4th game for the last few squads, we've brought in the man who's a tournament director, manager. What is the proper term, Neil Stremmel, for your position with this LBC National Championships event while you're on site?
Yeah, tournament director.
Tournament director, Neil Stremmel. So if you have questions for Neil about rules, equipment, that type of thing, drop them in the chat. We answered some stuff yesterday about somebody had a question about the wrist devices they saw some players using in this event, which are fully allowed because this is not a PBA Tour event. It's meant to kind of mimic a tour event, though, isn't it, Neil, with the players' experience here at the LBC National Championships?
Yeah, definitely. So you got 4 on a pair, and you're moving lanes every game, just like the National Tour players, regional tours, PBA 50 Tour players. Mimicking it that way. And then, the score sheet and writing down your bowling equipment, et cetera, gives you the same kind of a feel as well. So, as far as the wrist devices go, on the national tour, we don't allow that, but in the regional and other tours, we do, and in league environment, we do. So in this event, we allow that.
And now with the PBA LBC National Championships, you mentioned getting the experience like somebody would have on tour. These players all need to be able to record the serial number of their bowling ball onto their score sheet as they use that bowling ball. So one thing that players need to keep in mind while they're here is, make sure that serial number is legible on your bowling ball. Sometimes bowlers re-scuff their bowling ball so many times that they could do some damage to that serial number.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've had people come up to me both weekends and say, hey, here's my ball. Is it okay? And they're looking for the serial number, and I've been able to see and find the serial number, but there are certain balls made in a certain place years ago that were very, very faint, and if you've resurfaced it a couple of times, and now that it's getting older, it's really hard to see, really hard to find. And I guess I've seen where it's been resurfaced too much such that you can't read it at all. And in both USBC and PBA competition, if you get to the point where you cannot read that serial number anymore, you can re-engrave that number or a number onto the ball. So you really just so you can identify it, and we can verify that it's a ball that has been identified, and we can check it out and what have you.
Yeah. Now let's take a look down here because we've got groups that we mentioned earlier. We got some big groups that came in today from the brands of Storm Bowling. You've got Storm Bowling here on 5 and 6, some players representing them. You got some players, and I say representing very lightly because they're just they want a contest to bowl with people from Storm, from Rotogrip, from 900 Global. And that's one of the nice things about this event too. Even though it's a singles event, you can request to bowl with other people that you're coming with on the same pair. If space is available, you will put people on the same pair of lanes.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a way to request that as you sign up, and Janae keeps track of all that. Janae Haggerty with the PBA, and she does a great job of tracking all that and keeping everybody in the right place. And so you've got Blair Blumenscheid, who's representing Rotogrip, and she's got a group of 3 other bowlers that came with her, and Yannick has got 3 other bowlers representing Storm, and then Gary's on the other end of the house still with 900 Global. And it's just a great way to bowl with some friends. Maybe it's friends from across the country you don't see very often, or it's a group you're coming here together. Or, this is a unique scenario where they get to come bowl with one of our major sponsor brands, and we're glad to have them here and glad that they brought some new friends with them.
Well, let's take a look at where Blair's playing the lanes because she's off to a pretty good start. She's in the women's handicap division. She's coming in with a 192 average. And she's got herself off to a 722 start. Looks like she's coming off a 248 game with her handicap last game. So with Blair having an average of, I believe, 192. Let me double check the records here. Yeah, 192. So she's getting a 20-some pins a handicap a game. She's rolling the ball quite well to this point.
Yeah, I think she's been over 200 scratch each game. Barely the first one, and then a pretty solid second one. And it would have been pretty solid third game. She's had, 3 in a row and then an open and a double. I remember I saw that last game. And so here she leaves the 5-pin, crosses over, trying to go for that
what this
double.
means? Even though we're in the booth, Neil, I need to do my normal booth duties here, and I don't think Blair saw me, but I have the hand in the air. I want to make sure she sees it when she turns around here.
I'm sure she will here.
And she's got to be all over that 5-pin.
Luckily she got that. Otherwise that would have been super embarrassing.
Yep. She didn't see me pull the hand down, so I think I'm in safe territory.
Okay.
So, hey, here's a question in the chat. We were just talking about Blair's average being 192. Our average is determined at check-in, and it's a yes and no type of question, isn't it, Neil?
Yeah. So we do our best to verify averages before people arrive, and in the rules we use last year's average. And then the second option is last summer's average, but if you don't have one, we'll use this year's. If this year's is 10 or more pins, we use that. But then, in certain scenarios, and it's happened multiple times. I think it's happened this year. It's happened last year for sure. I assume it happened the first year as well, where, sometimes that verification is a little tough. You got to dig into, high school averages, which aren't always quickly available, tournament averages, things like that. So every once in a while we'll have kind of a re-rating as they show up or a re-rating after they leave, and that's all covered in the rules. It's really just to verify that everybody's on the up and up and everything's fair, and we're using the latest and greatest. It doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's sandbagging or trying to cheat. It's just part of our process of verifying everybody as they come in and go out the door. So just want to make sure everybody coming in feels like it's fair and we've applied the rules consistently.
Right. Absolutely. Well, let's check in on Roberto Rodriguez, the man who shot 300 at opening game and then had, I believe, a 311 total for his next two. And so he still is hanging around the plus 100 number with his handicap after 3 games because of that big game that he threw, but he needs to really start turning things around if he wants to make a run at that men's handicap division league.
Yeah, it's tough. It's your first 300, and so the emotions and the adrenaline and everything is like over the top, and just becomes something that's hard for a lot of people to manage. And so now maybe he can calm down again and get back on track and get some good scores going again.
John in the chat says you can re-engrave serial numbers, but if brand names or labels come off the ball, you can't re-engrave those. And
excellent point. Yeah. That is true. Yeah, usually those are much deeper than the serial number, so it's not something that comes up very often. Especially like a motive ball. I don't know how big that ball would be if the name of the ball was off of it. It'd be a junior ball from 1890, which was the only way they made them lighter back then was to make them smaller. So yeah.
Now you do.
But good point.
You do have measurement rings for bowling balls, don't you? If they would be too large or too small, because there are variances allowed in the manufacturing process, but there is a too large and there is a too small.
That is correct. 8.500 is the minimum diameter of a bowling ball, and 8.595 is the maximum diameter of a manufactured bowling ball. And so that's something we check as it's sent in for approval to USBC. It's something I check at the PBA as well. But then, if it gets sanded enough times over time, it's not the kind of thing that gets checked out in the field, and so can be an issue. Usually you start to realize it's an issue when it won't come back in the ball return because it gets too small and it just doesn't make it through some ball returns. So that's how maybe you've worn out your life of your ball is it's not coming back in the ball return often enough.
Yep. Another question in the chat about the rules are saying that averages from PBA certified centers are one of the averages that are allowed. Obviously, we use USBC averages as well. But player asking, how do you know if your center is PBA certified?
Well, all the PBA LBC centers out there are all of the Lucky Strike centers. So AMF, Lucky Strike, Bolero. So if it's one of those branded bowling centers, then you are in a PBA LBC certified league. And after that, so we are able to look up everybody's averages in any of those leagues on League Pals, and we do that. And then, of course, we're able to look at bowl.com and check out USBC averages. So we start with that, and then, like I said, sometimes there's some special circumstances that we aren't able to get everything we need as in less than a week that we're trying to verify right before the squads. So we'll be looking at next week's during this week. So,
and one of the benefits about PBA League Bowler certification is that it's free to those bowlers in those centers. It's not like when you have to pay to join USBC, where you're paying the national fee and then you're paying your local association fee and maybe even a state fee on top of it. PBA League Bowler certification is a free service offered by Bolero, Lucky Strike, AMF, where it's part of your league package. So, and with a lot of centers also banking the funds, if the leagues do have prize funds, you don't have to worry about the bonding, anything else like that, because Bolero, Lucky Strike, AMF takes care of that as well. So, sometimes you're not able to take a PBA certified average if that's the only certification your league has. Take that to USBC event and use that, but you could always pay the USBC fee, get the USBC league USBC certification as well if need be.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. So our leagues that are in all the Bolero, Lucky Strike centers are PBA LBC certified. So there's no additional fee for that, and if you do not bowl in a USBC league, then we still accept that average, no problems. But we also don't stop you or your league from becoming USBC certified. So if you want to bowl their national tournament or state and local tournaments, obviously that's fine with us as well. We have no issues or qualms with that. But we don't require it. That's all.
Right. So, and some people, they just like going out for their once-a-week league, having fun. They're not too worried about doing other stuff. And then they decide, hey, I want to bowl this PBA LBC National Championships. Bang, they still got the average they need.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, that's really what it stems from and what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So, glad that it works out for everybody. Looks like we got a few decent scores going on out there.
Yeah, Ryan Ziggar trying to catch up to his brother. Boy, if they were in doubles
and they
together,
might be. Yeah,
and they probably are, that optional doubles event, first 3 games, I mean, they're sitting at 1485. Well, not quite the winning total from last year when Grab Fa put up that incredible total, and I had a couple of partners that got up pretty high as well, but that's definitely going to be a nice check back for the Ziggars if they did get in that optional doubles.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll be interested to hear if that was the case or not.
Yeah.
And then same with team. So team is games 4, 5, and 6. You can get with 3 other guys or girls, or pick some pros and get on a team, a 4-person team, and do the same kind of thing. You can do that optional event as many times as you want.
Yeah, so even with 3 players in the Open Classic division, with the Ziggars and Justin Smith, well, Frankie's in the Open Classic as well. I thought Frankie was in men's handicap. But you can put together handicap and Classic division bowlers on the same 4-player team, and the players that have handicap will still receive that handicap for those 3 games. So that's another nice thing as well.
Yeah, so you can join the handicap version of the doubles and team as well. Yeah, lots of options Not a lot of people, jump onto those doubles and teams. So we don't have a ton of those. We have brackets on site, so people get in that, and I feel like not as many people get into the doubles and team as I would expect. But so there's really good chance if you can put up a decent number, there's a good chance you can do well.
And once again, I mean, you can bowl with anybody on any squad as long as they haven't bowled yet. So we know the Borsches are bowling later on in June. We know those Ziggars and Borsches are great friends, and I bet you there's some doubles and teams pairing between those players as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And then we've got a list posted.
Yep.
As far as the pros and when they're coming. So like Bill O'Neill's going to be here the last weekend. So
right.
You can pick him throughout the tournament, but. Grandfather Kyle Troop already bowled because that was when they had the chance to come bowl. And so you won't be able to pick them now unless you already picked them before they bowled.
All right, question from Mike. If you make a certain amount in this tournament, do taxes have to be taken out? They don't necessarily take the taxes out by the PBA, but you can get a 1099 and should get a 1099 if you went over a certain amount in any bowling tournament. It's not just the PBA, it's not just the USBC. I know there's a lot of bowling tournaments where 1099s don't get issued.
Yeah,
it should be. But
yeah.
where you're not, everything's on the up and up here with the PBA LBC National Championships. If you went over $600,
yep.
You are going to receive a 1099 at the end of the year. But you can always consult your tax professional, offset some of your expenses for the tournament, your mileage, your meals and such. And
if you flew here, some of your equipment, there's ways to show that you're not necessarily a professional, or in order to win money, you had to spend money, and that's typically what everybody does because that's the truth. That's the way it is.
Another good question in the chat. If college bowlers enter this tournament, do they have to sign something to not lose their eligibility for the regular college season? Which is funny because now there was a big NCAA ruling that was just issued earlier this week that changed NAIA eligibility rules for college players. So now they can earn money anytime, anywhere, bowling, even though they're in college. And for the only bowlers I can think of that would have issues, Neil, would be NCAA bowlers, and that might even change very soon with that court ruling.
Yeah, who knows how that's going to go. But, yes, we do have forms on site there. It's just called the Form 400, and it's basically the SMART form. So you fill that out, and if you earn any money, it goes to your SMART account, and then that's not that is allowed by NCAA and high schools. There's a lot of high schools across the country that basically follow those kind of same amateur rules.
Yep.
And we can't keep up with the changes with NAIA or NCAA, or especially every state and how they do it in their state. So it is truly, and this is at every tournament, it is really up to the bowler to make sure they keep track of what's what and what need. If you need to fill that out, if you're not sure, just fill it out, and that's really the best way to go to make sure. Now, if you don't want the smart money, you want the cash, and you are confident that that doesn't affect your bowling at school, fine, okay. We're not going to tell you what to do. It's just, I don't know enough of the details of every possible situation to be able to say, conclusively this or that. So that's just how we do it. And I know lots of tournaments, that's essentially how they have to do it, because there's just too many special laws and rules out there that we can't keep track of.
The Ziggar brothers tearing it up again. Kyle Ziggar 269, or pardon me, Ryan Ziggar 269. Kyle Ziggar looking to get into the 250s. Get to 256 and keep that charge going towards that Open Classic lead with 2 games to go. Last question before we get done with this game, Neil. Is this the host center for the tournament every year, or will it move around like the Open Championships? Well, our first year was at Bolero Wauwatosa, which was great for us because we both live about 20 minutes away from that center.
Yeah.
Now we get to make the trip down to Mount Prospect every weekend, last year and now this year. Will there be a discussion process at the end of this event?
Yes.
Who knows?
I think it was at the end of the event last year we were able to make the decision that we would come back. This year we have not made that decision for next year yet. I personally would be happy to come back here, but it's not totally up to me. Yeah. So I hope by the end of the event we'll be able to announce, just like we did last year, that we're coming back here, or going somewhere else.
Yeah.
But we do want to keep it in the Midwest. That's always kind of been the plan. There's a lot of bowlers in the Midwest in this area, and there's a lot less travel for those bowlers to come here. You got Minneapolis to Detroit to St. Louis, Indianapolis, and then of course Milwaukee, Chicago. They're all able to get here relatively quickly and easily and cheaply, and so it's kind of a benefit. So that's what we're trying to focus on. So that's a long way to say I don't know, and I do hope that we're able to make that announcement as soon as possible. Hopefully before the end of the tournament, but hopefully even sooner than that.
I mean, the one benefit of Chicago is 2 huge airports that have a lot of nonstop flights from anywhere in the country.
And we are close to O'Hare here. Yeah, very close to O'Hare. So.
And maybe another half hour to Midway for those that favor an airline that used to give us 2 free bags and doesn't anymore, but not to get personal on air. So, Well, Neil, we always enjoy our Game 4s with you, and hopefully this continues throughout the rest of the run. I know some events that will have PBA Elite Tour players who may have to give a game off and get you in here and answer the questions from everybody in the chat. And, informed bowling fans are the best bowling fans, in my opinion.
I do my best, yes, and lots of good questions. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody out there.
All right, appreciate everybody. Stay tuned. We got 2 more games. Will we have a new leader in that Open Classic division with Kyle Ziggar and, unfortunately, for Blair Blumenscheid, she's sliding backwards away from that women's handicap division lead. But anything can happen in 2 games. We'll be back here at Bolero Mount Prospect, 2025 PBA LBC National Championships, wrapping up the second weekend of competition. All right, we did it for Gary Hulsenberg in Game 2. We need to do it here, Bowling World. Blair Blumenscheid's yet to strike here in Game 4. We need to channel all our positive energy. And we need to get a strike on the board for her here in the 10th frame. Let's do it. Om. 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 See, the power of bowling positivity in the world. If we're all more positive people, we'll see more strikes out on the lanes. And for those of you double tabbing following your favorite players, your lane movements between Games 4 and Game 5 are just simply a pair to the right. So you're going to see Blair and company move over to 5 and 6. The people that were on 5 and 6 move to 7 and 8. And we'll see the Ziggar brothers on 17 and 18 in Game 5. This group from Storm, though, man, are they having a lot of fun today? Some of them might not be putting up category-leading scores, but just the smiles you see on bowlers as they're talking to each other about what's going on. That's really what, for a lot of us, this sport is all about. Get out there, throw it great if you can. knock down as many pins as possible, but have a good time while you're doing it. And Gary Hulsenberg, Yannick Roos, and Blair Blumenscheid definitely helping their group do that today. Great finish there by Jeffrey Harrington. Let's get back down as Game 5 is getting underway. Ryan Ziggar at plus 178 for his first 4 games. Normally that'd be pretty close to leading the squad. But his brother Kyle says, hold my beverage. It's Kyle, 232 over. Only needs about another 30 pins to the plus to get into the event lead for the Open Classic division. Connor Pula is at plus 257. So 26 sticks to the plus. Over 2 games, we'd have a new leader, but you know that Ziggar is putting bigger sights on the board. He wants to get to that 1,500 number. He knows that one of his mentors, Lenny Bors Jr., did that in 2023. Put up a 1,500 total in the Senior Classic division, and that got Lenny that Senior Classic division title and also got Lenny into the Clash for that year. And that's where the bonus money can really stack up. First 2 years of the Clash, it's been $60,000 for that top prize in the Clash. Haven't seen the prize list yet for the Clash for 2025, but something tells me it'll be a pretty substantial prize fund once again. Going to open in the first frame, the famous words of one Bo Burton and Randy Peterson. Sure, Ziggar will make that adjustment. And I'll tell you what, that ball that he's rolling today, I believe it's a Jackal Ghost. He hasn't changed out of it yet. and don't count Ryan Ziggar out of it yet. Sure, he's 55 pins or so behind his brother. But if Ryan can pop 2 big games at the end, it could be an all Ziggar top of the leaderboard at the end of weekend number 2. Kyle makes the adjustment. Kyle takes 10 down. Hey, thanks for the likes in the chat, everybody. Thanks, Mike Hammond. Yeah, Neil Stremmel, fountain of bowling knowledge. And for those of you that don't know Neil's previous work before he became the PBA Director of Rules and Equipment and the PBA LBC National Championships Tournament Manager, Neil spent many years as the head of the research department at USBC. He was actually back there in the days of the ABC WIBC when they were located in Milwaukee. So back in the days, for those of you that might be a little bit older in the chat, you remember the days where sport bowling was being developed. Neil was the man in charge of that sport bowling program, getting those oil patterns together and testing various facets of the program. And I was involved, lucky enough to be involved in a couple of leagues that we hosted at a center I was helping manage at the time, and used to remember running those tapes off the lanes that contain the oil pattern so they could be read by the special machinery over to the bowling headquarters in Greendale, Wisconsin. The center I was manager was in Greenfield, Wisconsin. And having some good chats with Neil and his staff back then, learning a lot about the game and what they were doing to make sure everything in bowling stayed on the up and up. Hey, Scotty, yeah, you know what? You need to use the equipment that works on a condition. One of the guys on the PBA Tour who's going to be bowling in a few weekends, Patrick Dombrowski, sometimes he gets a little bit of grief from some of his fellow players. Fun grief. I mean, they're not picking on him, but it's just a choice that a lot of other players might not make. But he loves the tropical line with Storm. Those entry-level bowling balls, there's a lot of times where the lanes, if they really start to hook or if it's a shorter pattern, instead of going to urethane, he'll go to the surge line, tropical surge or tropical storm, and he'll throw those what's considered entry-level bowling balls. But you know what? Nothing's an entry-level when it's throwing 10 back on a regular basis. And that one, boy, just hot out of the hand of Kyle Ziggar. And he is finding some struggles here early in Game 5. Meanwhile, his brother, front 4. So we'll have to see if Ziggar can spare here, right the ship. He had a big finish last game to get back to 250. If he strikes out here, 5 through 10, he can get himself back in the 240s. Still be pacing towards that 500. Pardon me, that 1,500 number, that magic number. Let's check in on Roberto Rodriguez, our player who had 300 our opening game and then ran into some roadblocks. And Roberto looking at a game, yeah, he is not having a good day since game 1. So he will not be making a run at the top spot in the men's handicap division, but to be able to say you shot your first 300 game at the PBA LBC National Championships and to receive a mini Duke in recognition of your achievement that less than 30 bowlers in the world have at this point. Hey, So what if the last 5 games maybe don't work out for Roberto? You talk about a memory that's going to last forever for players like Roberto, for players like Mr. Weaver from last weekend. You know, for Jordan Weaver to get a handshake and a pat on the back from Norm Duke after he shot that 300 with Norm watching, how much better does it get? Doesn't. And now Kyle Ziggar is starting to hear some footsteps. Those footsteps coming from his brother Ryan. Let's see if Kyle can find a way to right the ship here on 17-18. That one's on target line, and that one takes them all down. So Ryan Ziggar, front 6. We've been watching you the last couple of games, so yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, Couch gets one. Apologies there. Wasn't expecting Ryan Ziggar to pop up in front of the booth. Right there, talking a little shop about what we got going locally up in Wisconsin. Apologize for that. Didn't have my mic turned down. I like people that have common sense in bowling, and Ryan Ziggar, definitely a young man that's developed that over the years. Knows, you know, he loves this sport so much. His whole family, I mean, it goes back generations to his grandfather as well. His dad, Matt, always bowling tournaments and helping tournaments and doing things like that. Ryan's the same way. His brother Kyle's getting there as well. Kyle's got a family, though. Kyle saw his wife in attendance, and I know they have a young one. So Kyle's bowling a little bit less than he used to. Well, Lauren plugging along over there. Lauren Schaefer comes in at a 125 average, so she's trying to work her way up into the girls' handicap division lead. Hey, shooter. Come on, get it. Oh, just behind that 3-pin. Gave it a good ride. Can we get a sexy 7th in a row? Oh, the 7 goes late, but it goes for Ziggar of the Ryan variety. got that jersey on. If somebody isn't, if Matt Gasson isn't watching, somebody text Matt Gasson from Top Notch Bowling, tell him one of his guys has got another chance to shoot 300 on the LBC feed. Ryan came close before, 279. We saw 279 earlier out of Kyle Ziggar. We already got, I'm rooting for another 300 on this squad. Roberto Rodriguez already with our first 300 of the squad, second of the tournament to this point. And let's see if Kyle Ziggar can keep climbing that hill. He's got himself a little bit of a hole early here in game 5. Oh, and how about that? That messenger was coming back and something off the left sidewall blocked it. That's not something you see very often. My goodness. Gets the spare, but that's going to need a really big game to get to the magic 1,500 number. As Kyle Ziggar can only get to 2 1/4 this game, and actually Ryan Ziggar can pass him on the leaderboard. Ziggar can get to plus 278. After 5 games, if he can go off the sheet this game and really have a chance to put up a big score. For the Open Classic division, that 5 weekends of players are going to have to really chase down if Ryan Ziggar can stay on fire. Oh, Lauren, that one just a little outside on the fill ball. Get the 104, so that's going to bring her back to the field a little bit in that girls handicap division. Lauren, though, so active in life. She doesn't consider Down syndrome any type of disadvantage to her. Neither is her mother, Dava. Spectacular people. And Lauren dreaming about a career working in bowling media. A lot of her college projects deal with bowling. She had some great interviews with some PBA players here in 2023 when the PBA Illinois Open was held in this building. Of course, Marshall Kent ended up taking down that title once the TV show was done from here at Bolero Mount Prospect in February of 2023. After that slight delay, Ryan Ziggar stepping up, looking for the excellent 8th in a row. Out of the hand, down the lane, stares it down. Oh, no. Oh, my. Sometimes bowling can just flat out suck. And that's one of those flat out suck moments right there with the solid 9 for Ryan Ziggar. 7 went left, 7 went right, 7 finally went down for Kyle Ziggar. So as we mentioned, he used to get to 225, but he's looking at a pretty tight competition between himself and his brother Ryan if they both go off the sheet here in the 9th and 10th frames for who may walk out on top in this Open Classic division here. Closeout weekend number 2 of PBA LBC National Championships competition. Still some squad openings next Saturday. No competition on Sunday, Father's Day, the 15th. So just the 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. local squads. Next Saturday, June 14th. And while we've been focusing on our leaders, let's get down to lanes 5 and 6 is Brandon Johnson. Looking to put up perfection here. Johnston bowling in the Open Classic division, sitting at 930, 130 over for his first 3. He can get to 230 over and really start making a run at the Ziggars. If he can put all 3 on the scoreboard here in the 10th frame at Bolero Mount Prospect. There you see he's talking to Blair Blumenscheid, one of the organizers for Storm Rotogrip and 900 Global for the group they've brought in for this squad of the LBC National Championships. And Blair, hopefully she took the bad juju away for Brandon's next shot. Already won 300 on this squad. Roberto Rodriguez, the opening game, through his first ever 300 game. And let's see what Johnston can do here on target line. 6 wraps around and takes the 10 down in the process. And there is a front 10. Everybody wants the most unique 300 game award in the bowling world, with the Mini Duke that players are awarded for perfection at the LBC National Championships. You can only win that Mini Duke here. You can only win it by throwing a 300 game. It looks just like the full-size version of the Duke that goes to the PBA LBC National Championships Clash winner. Will Johnston keep up his chance at the Duke? Yes, he does. One shot remaining for a chance at a little bowling immortality. All lanes around Brandon have stopped. I'm trying not to talk very loud either because my booth is basically right behind lanes 5 and 6. Lots of phones out, trying to share the moment. Will we get our second Mini Duke of the day into someone's hands? It's all up to Brandon Johnston on this shot. Stay on target line, ball, get there, a little light. Can't shake the 7 down, and a 299 game. He made sure to give it a little extra room on this LBC National Championships pattern. Ball started hooking up 3 inches sooner. I bet you we'd probably have a 300 on the scoreboard for him, but he's still making that run towards the Open Classic top spot. We'll see what he's going to be doing there in Game 6. Let's get back to the Ziggars as they're finishing out their game. As you see, Ryan Ziggar, 258, and an open frame for Kyle Ziggar for 182. Yikes, they've switched places on the scoreboard for 1-2. on the squad, so we'll get you some updated and verified totals. And we'll keep an eye on Brandon Johnston. We'll keep an eye on the Ziggars as we get into our 6th and final game of this second weekend of competition, PBA LBC National Championships from Bolero Mount Prospect. I'm $2 Phil Brilo, and I'm taking you through all 7 weekends of this event on PBA YouTube.
Not me. I'm over here. Not me.
And for those of you double tabbing, watching a family member or friend on a feed and keeping us on the main feed and another tab for the audio, your players are moving 3 pairs and landing on the 4th. So skipping 3, landing on the 4th. So the players you see here on 3 and 4 here in Game 5, they're going to be on 11 and 12. Those on 5 and 6 are moving up to 13 and 14 for their final game of qualifying.
actually 3 guys on it.
All right, so we got 3 players we'll keep an eye on this game. running towards the Open Classic Division lead, one of those being Ryan Ziggar. He's just got ahead of his brother for the first time today. He's sitting at a 12.36 total, or plus 236. After 258 in game 5. Kyle Ziggar falls backwards. He's at plus 214 after a 182 game with a big open in the 10th frame. The other player we're going to keep an eye on is Brandon Johnston. Johnston will be on 11 and 12 this game. He's coming off a 299 game. He'll be on 13 and 14. Anyway, you look at it, Johnston's in the plus 220 range right now. So we have 3 players looking to take down the Open Classic Division lead. And if one of them does take the lead, we'll talk to him after the squad. Keep an eye on the PBA League Bowler Certification Facebook page in the next 24 hours to see any of those interviews with the new Open Classic Division leader. Of course, that's assuming that they can get into the 220s, 230s or better on what's needed, as plus 259 is the total by Connor Pula, that is currently leading the Open Classic Division. All right, so keep an eye on the Ziggars here. Nothing going big through 4, and Kyle finds more problems. Let's check in on Brandon Johnston. He's your scorer on the upper right on lane 14. Unfortunately, name's cut off, but his score isn't, and he's looking at trying to convert a 210 here As we're getting a little later in this block. You can't get any later. It's game 6. And only gets 1, so Connor Pula, if you're watching, you might be holding on after this weekend, unless these bowlers really turn things around. All right, let's check in Johnston. See if Johnston can keep back-to-back opens from happening here. That could really end his chance of getting up into the lead in the Open Classic division. Gets it covered nicely. Back over to the Ziggar. Ziggar of the Ryan variety with an open. So he's basically going to have to go off the sheet to get into the lead. And Kyle Ziggar working on an open can get to 235 and can't get there, as that would leave him at 1449. So Connor Pula, if you're watching in the chat, you might be holding on for another week in that number 1 spot. Might be a little too late there for Kyle Ziggar with the slow fall on that 7 pin. And that wrap 10 for Ziggar. 217 won't be enough, as that would put him at 1433. Even though Frankie DeBartolo's not having a great day to this point, Frankie's got a chance for perfection. He's halfway there. Back to Johnston. Johnston's going to need get in the 230s. To get past Connor Pula. Only 238. Probably 228 Johnston will need to get past Connor Pula, as he's currently sitting at 1229 after that 299 game. And that's sometimes the toughest part. You're locked in for a game, you move pairs, you shoot that 299, and then you move pairs again. And sometimes that line you just had for 12 shots is slightly different on that new pair, and trying to get that adjustment so you can start stringing strikes quickly again. It's never easy. Oh, and Johnson lays waste to a rack, and he's still keeping the dream of walking out of your Open Classic Division leader alive. Cal Ziggar, great start, 779 for his first three, but his last 15 frames or so has just been an absolute nightmare for him. Jenny, thanks for the heads up. We'll get that fixed. It's a little bit too late to fix now, but we'll get back down to Johnson for all of his shots so nobody misses out. On what Brandon Johnston is doing to try to take over the Open Classic Division lead. So once again, even with striking out, Ryan Ziggar is going to fall a little short. Even with striking out, Kyle Ziggar is going to fall a little bit short. Let's see what Frankie can do here. Frankie Bartolo, good friend of the Ziggar family, looking for his 9th strike in a row, and he gets it to go. So let's get over quickly, see where Brandon was at on that shot. Unfortunately, a weak 10 for Johnston. As Ziggar leaves a 9-pin, not the way he wanted to wrap up his day. Let's see if Johnston can convert the 10, still have that outside chance of taking the lead, and it stays on, gets done. So you can still get to 237. That would give him 1466. So basically, any error by Johnston, and Connor Pula will stay in the lead. Waiting on Frankie DiBartolo to step up on the front 9 down on the pair with the Ziggars on 25 and 26. We'll go back to Kyle since Brandon's not up the bowl yet. And Kyle, once again, is 235 and leave him a little short. He'd be at 1449. He'd be in second place overall. Right now, Ryan Ziggar would be that 194 in third overall. So 3 players battling to try to get past Connor Pula as we entered this final game. 2 of them have already failed. And Brandon Johnston needs to get them all the way through the 11th. to have a chance to get the lead outright. If he went 9 spare and then off the sheet, he'd still tie for the lead with Pula. He's got 9, but now it's going to require going yard. And we're here with Frankie DeBartolo as we're bouncing pairs. Is he going to get the slow roll on the 10? Yes, he does. How about that for DeBartolo? That definitely was not a head pin messenger, but whatever came back across the deck just became Frank DeBartolo's best friend, as he's now sitting on 10 in a row. Pardon me, make it 11 in a row. And will we get our second mini Duke of the day? What a great way for DeBartolo to close. Is it going to happen? No, maybe. Oh, and he leaves the 5-pin for $2.99. What a great finish nonetheless for DeBartolo. 2 $2.99s and a perfect game on this squad. This LBC pattern is definitely playable and holds up, because we had a 300 in game 1, a 299 in game 5, and now another 299 in game 6. And Ziggar, that comes up high, so it's a battle who's going to be second right now between Kyle Ziggar and Ryan Ziggar once the final totals are verified. And unfortunately, Brandon Johnson missed that 4-pin, and he now has no chance to take the lead. The most he can get to would be 12.44, or pardon me, 14.44 if you were to strike out. So it looked like there was a great chance for a lead change coming into this final game on our Sunday squad, and it looks like all of our leaders are going to remain the same. So remember, you can follow your standings, pba.com/LBC tournament. We're going to live stream this pair all the way through the end of their competition. And we want to thank everybody that joined us today on the PBA YouTube channel. Next squad is scheduled Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. 2 squads next week and only no competition on Sunday. So we'll have the 10 a.m. Eastern and the 3 p.m. Eastern squads. Check the PBA LBC Facebook page. If you haven't already liked PBA League Bowler Certification on Facebook, do so. I don't know yet if we'll be back with booth feeds next Saturday or not. I'm hoping that we are. I'm having fun doing these with everybody in the chat. We're seeing some exciting action. And you're still with double tabbing, being able to follow your favorite player as they make their way through 6 games of competition here at the PBA LBC National Championships. I'm $2 Phil Brylow. Hey, parents, take the kids bowling, because you know they're going to have fun for life. And we will see you next Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern time, here from Bolero Mount Prospect.